Hi, my name is Luann C. Brown, and I'm an author. I wrote a book a few years ago called Nora Peters and the Secret of the Mystic Pearl. And I fell down on my marketing because my husband became terminally ill. And so I've spent the last few years taking care of him. And sadly, he passed away in July. It's taken me a while to feel like I can be out in the world again. But I'm forcing myself to get out here and to say hi to you for myself and also for my husband, because he said, "Luann, you wrote a masterpiece. All you have to do is get it in front of people." So this is why I'm making this video today, is to get my book out there in the public and say hi to you all. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about my book, which I happen to have right here. It's called Nora Peters and the Secret of the Mystic Pearl, and how I started this book. When I was 17, I lived up in British Columbia in Vancouver. My family emigrated from the US. I got a job working for the Fisheries Research Board of Canada. My job was to do a creel census on all the lake in the Okanagan mountain range. And so I would talk to all the fishermen and do a creel census, whereby we measured the fish, took pesticide samples, found out where they caught them, we weighed them, gathered a bunch of scientific data for the fisheries scientists to study. The great part of that job was to camp up in those mountains. We were enveloped in nature every moment of the day. And at night, we would be camping in our own little tents, and the frogs would sing us to sleep. And boy, there were so many frogs. It was like a cacophony, a choir, a symphony of frogs. They were just so noisy, and it took me a while to be able to actually fall asleep. But that whole summer, I was serenaded by them. And I kept, it probably sounds weird to say this, but I just kept listening, and I got a spark for a story. I sat down one night in my dad's chair. I was 11 years old, I had a long stretch ahead of me. I asked myself, what am I going to do with my life? So on my list was live in Egypt, which I did with my husband, have red hair, which I did. What else? Oh, be a writer. And that was based on my love of books, and my love of classic books, really, classic childhood books. My father was a voracious reader, and he came from the generation that had read all the classics, and he introduced me to those books too. So that was part of my plan. And as time went on, I thought more and more about how captivating frogs were and how interesting and diverse they were. I did study science. I studied biology. I graduated from DePaul University in Chicago with my bachelor's in biology. Slowly, characters started to appear. When I'm writing, and even when I'm not writing, when I'm thinking about my book, I just have conversations. I don't want to say I hear voices, because that sounds unstable, but I just have, these characters come to me and we talk. They tell me what they think, they tell me who they are, I listen, I ask them questions, they answer. It's just an exercise, a fun exercise, because I have to say, I love all my characters. I adore every single one of them. None of them are perfect, they're all flawed, but I've constructed the story in a way where hopefully even the bad guys, even the bad frogs, learn something about themselves through the course of the story. Now that this book is a reality, I am starting to concentrate on the second book, and these conversations are starting again. It's fun to be back in touch with my characters. I've missed them. I think they've missed me. I hope the conversations between us continue as the second book develops. We're standing in the rain now, and being that this is the Pacific Northwest, what's a day without rain, right? So I wanted to introduce you to a poster that my nephew Samuel Brown and I worked on together. I was thrilled when I saw the people in the frog costumes, the puffy frog costumes, show up at the No Kings protest throughout the country. And I could see a golden line of energy stretching from them all the way back to the queen at the Palais, which is the center of her power. It just thrilled me to witness that. Ever since I started writing this book, I've been thinking about how we as humans, our large toes as we're called in the frog world, have co-opted nature for our own purposes. We think we can do anything we want just to get some money off of our planet. And that offends me at a very deep level. And it also frightens me. I'm the grandmother of 6. There's got to be a lot of world left for them and for their descendants. And at the rate we're going, that's not going to happen. They're going to be living in circumstances that make life difficult for them and for other people all around the world. To me, these frogs are real. These frog protesters are representatives of real frogs in nature. The significance of frogs culturally, or in many cultures, is they are the voice of nature. When I see somebody dressed up in a puffy frog costume, I feel like they're connected somehow to my book. And I'm not trying to co-opt the protest. I'm not trying to co-opt the protesters and their choice of frog costume. I'm just really feeling that interconnectedness with the story that I'm telling and the people who are taking action to protect our planet. Just part 1 of a 3-part trilogy of my book, Nora Peters and the Secret of the Mystic Pearl. Thanks for listening.